It's fine. We picked the library for this recording. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Shay with Amos. I'm your host, Jacob Gorgi, and today we are here with Dr. Atif Ma'ar. Tongue twisters today, sir. Anyway, so first of all, how are you doing?
Very good.
That's
Glad
good.
to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on. So, you came to America 1989.
Correct.
In 1989, and you actually came directly to Chicago.
Correct.
Which, versus our other past episodes, a lot of people would like to hop to the East Coast and then come to Chicago. So, but you came directly to Chicago. So, first of all, what area of Egypt did you come from? Were you Cairo? Were you Minya? Like, where? I don't know. I don't know Egypt too well. Yeah.
All right. I was born in a city called Tanta.
Tanta.
Yeah, which is in Al-Gharbiya, a governorate. It's like a county called Al-Gharbiya. And I lived my first 12 years, 13 years in a small city next to it called Mahal al-Kubra. Mahal al-Kubra is very famous for, they have the largest weaving companies and cotton and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So, I come from a family that my father's side is all like, it's called Ailet al-Ummus, meaning like the family of the proto-priest.
Ah.
From Said, which is like Upper Egypt.
Right.
We have tens of priests in our family.
Yeah.
Also, we have monks, and we have a bishop. Actually, my uncle is the late Bishop Dioscorus for Menofia.
Wow.
And so I used to live in a house that a family lives in a house, 3 stories, and every family lives in 1 story. So the bottom one was my uncle, who was a priest of the church that was inside that. The house was inside the courts of the church. So you can tell that in the morning you hear the bells, in the evening you hear the bells. You go to church. So I spent 12 years, and then I moved to Cairo. In Cairo, after I finished middle school, they took us because I was one of the advanced student on the entire country. So they took us into a place called Advanced Secondary School,
Right.
which is like a dormitory for advanced students, so that
Right.
they can improve their outcome to be scientists of the future, which was like so.
Yeah.
It was 3 years, and we're a very small number of people.
Right.
And after that, I went to medical school in Cairo as well. After that, I had my residency in neurosurgery in Cairo and in Aswan, south of Egypt. Then I went to Hungary, Budapest.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had masters of neurosurgery.
Yeah.
Then I came to the United States.
Yeah. So you were what, late 20s then, or
I was 27 years old.
27. Okay, late 20s.
27.
So came to America, and then you came, like I said, you came directly to Chicago. And at this point, St. Mark's was built. It was there.
Yes.
And with another congregation, kind of in northern Illinois, that was St. Mary's Church, like in the works basically at the time.
Yes.
So first, because also at this time, this is also when Abuna Samuel, what's his last name? Sabbath. Sabbath, yeah. That's also when he had also started his ministry, and you actually have a bit of a funny story with him, don't you?
Yeah.
When you first met him.
Yes, like I said, I came first to Chicago because we had family members in Chicago.
Yeah.
So they took me after I came the first Sunday to come to church. And after the church, Abuna was distributing the baraka, the Walugiya, or
Yeah.
one. So my cousin Mary Basali introduced me. This is my cousin Atif, and he just came from Egypt. He's from Mahalla. And Abuna goes like, "Are you Atif Lamay, Ibn Uncle Lamay?" He said, "Yes." How did you know Abuna? So it turned out that Abuna Samuel was the friend of my cousin Abuna Loa. Like I said, our family is full of priests.
Right.
So Abuna Loa was his friend. They went to engineering school together, and both of them were like great deacons, and ended up being priests, both of them. So when they were young, he came to our house when I was very young, and I had a pair of small cymbals, and I used to say songs and hymns and stuff. So they, as younger generation, so they were having fun having me singing for them. So he remembers me from that day.
Right.
So I have known Abuna Samuel from late 60s to the early 70s.
And then once you came here, you then became involved with translating hymns from Arabic Coptic to English. Actually became a part of that project that St. Mark's was doing. And you developed quite a plethora of books actually as a result of it. And some of them, you actually have some of those books here with you today.
Yes.
So walk me through it. What was that process like? You know, how did that idea even come about? Because I know in the last episode, I think both Dr. Atif Ma'awad and Dr. Rifa Abdul Malik, she both mentioned this too. So really, give us, what was the full story about that? Like, how'd that come about?
Well, before I come, actually, St. Mark Church here, they had a very active service of publishing, and we had a press, like offset press, the old style press. And we used to print books and everything. Even Khulagi, the first Khulagi that actually looked like a reasonable book was from our church.
Right. There's the little brown books that we have in the sanctuary that we're talking about. Sorry, I'm just
no, not that one. Actually,
oh no!
I saw one here in the library, so
Is there?
I can show it to you after we.
Which one was it? I'll grab it. Which one was
here
it?
it is.
On the move. That's why we picked the library for this recording.
This is the liturgy book.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh,
And this
wow.
is the Passion Week book. This is all done here.
Yeah.
But I didn't take part in this. So
Wow.
this was
So this
before
is
me.
so. If you guys are at St. Mark's in the library where we record, if you guys want to check these are the original texts that we have.
Yes.
It's really cool. So.
And this is the Passion Week book also. It was,
okay.
So far, this is the best version that I've ever seen. And if you notice that when we run our PowerPoint in the church during the Holy Week, this the material is taken from here.
Wow.
So this is the most accurate one.
Okay.
So this service was like really flourishing in the church, and the thing that was missing was stuff for the deacon service.
Right.
So with the help of Abuna Samuel, who was like a pro in hymns and rites and traditions and stuff, we started doing the smaller books. And for me, in the early days, I didn't have any computer knowledge, so we started doing like the cut and paste and copy and stuff.
Right.
And Uncle Gergus helped us with the printing. And then we got to know how to work on the publishing software and computers, and so we had a group of people.
Right.
Actually, that were working together. Everybody has its own talent, so it was a complete set.
How many people were involved?
I would say it was Dr. Shireen Azir from Ohio. He moved to Ohio now. And John Estefanos, Sonia Ma'ar, my wife, and myself. So we were four.
Four. Okay.
Yeah. So Shireen was very talented and he knows Coptic very well. So he helped us in that aspect, trying to translate some of the songs and hymns from Coptic. I had some background in like writing poems and stuff in Arabic, so I was able to rhyme some of these stuff. So this is helped me to translate some of the songs in a singable way, because previously it's either they change completely the meaning so that they can sing it well, or they literally translate it, which is in a way not singable.
Right.
So what we started is for example, doing a matrimony books.
Yeah.
So these books are for the service of crowning,
Right.
and it was actually done for each, like customized for each
For each service.
and then they
Wow.
used to pass it out. They used to pass it out during the service, and people would
Oh,
take
I
it.
see. Okay.
And then we went into like the great feasts.
Right.
For example, the resurrection feast, the Piyak, the Holy 50s and Ascension, the Holy Lent.
Yeah.
Every occasion we have a set of books for everything, and that was printed on simply a copy machine.
Right.
And we still use them until this morning.
Yeah.
The largest work we've done was during the consecration of our church,
Right.
which is the visit of Pope Shenouda in 2001.
Yeah.
So we printed this outside in a professional press,
Right.
but the writing and the translation and the rites of consecration, we've done this book.
Wow, that's a
And,
big
and this,
book.
yeah. So and this was, it's right here. It says a book of consecrations,
Yeah.
and the dedication behind to the consecration of our church here in 2001. So this
Yeah.
was the largest book that I took part in,
Yeah.
and also the 4 people who took part in this one.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting because when we put these books, we added a lot of new songs, new hymns that was not sung before in the church. So
Right.
it created good atmosphere, and
Right.
people still use it. I personally still use it.
Yeah,
to this
I
point.
know. Yeah. So in terms of translating, because you weren't just translating stuff from Arabic to English, which is what a lot of people think. I mean, you were, but you also translate things directly from Coptic to English as well.
Yes, that's what I said because of the help of Dr. Shay.
Right. Right.
Dr. Shay is very fluent in Coptic,
Yeah.
and he helped us a lot in this.
Right.
So, for example, sometimes the Arabic meaning or Arabic translation would not give the accurate translation in English, so we would go back to the Coptic origins if it's available, of course.
Right. Yeah. So that process. I mean, so like, how do you do that? Do you just like because what I always thought how you guys did it was like you read it in Arabic, for example, right? And then you took what you read in Arabic, then write it down in English. So, kind of like as if someone like I don't really speak that much Arabic. So a lot of time when someone talks to me in Arabic, I have like someone say what are they saying type thing. So were you guys doing that, or was it like how like?
It's a process. When like I said early on, you'd have to translate it literally.
Right.
Like so, it's not able to be. It's very hard to sing.
Yeah.
And so you translate this literally, and then you put a list of other words.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Sorry. List of words that you can use that are a little bit rhyming, can be sung, and then you start mixing and matching, and then compare to the original meaning. And it ends up serving both purposes: the purpose of being accurate in translation, and the other purpose is just you have to sing it because our service is singing, completely singing.
Yeah.
So this is like as opposed to what I saw previously, which is like taking the tune and then actually making a totally new song, for example.
Yeah.
So the meaning is not there.
Yeah.
Or taking the translation literally, and then it just sounds bad. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It looks like you're reading the newspaper.
Yeah.
So basically, we tried to
find like a happy middle between that.
exactly.
Yeah. So then, because you're also very experienced deacon, and we'll actually go into that experience in the next question of us. But what I was wondering too, because you were also singing these hymns as well as pretty much they were getting translated. So
Actually, that helped.
Yeah.
I mean, the while I'm translating, I'm singing, so
Yeah.
I see whether or not I can sing this part.
right,
So it helps a lot.
right. So in that beginning, then, because obviously I'm sure there was probably some transition point at some point in time where it was translating more and more English as time went on. So as it was going on, did you find it, how hard was it to just start singing hymns that you were so accustomed to singing, in Arabic, for example, back to English? Was it challenging, or was it easier for you because you were the one translating it? Or?
For me, it was not. From the beginning, I mean, there's a lot of people that when things translate into English, they don't feel like the way they pray it is the same spirituality as when they pray it in Arabic. Right. But I mean, for me, it was not a problem.
I see.
Because also when you're used to singing Coptic and Arabic, I mean, when you sing Arabic and English and Coptic, it's the same way. I mean, even we sing in Greek in church, you know that.
Yeah.
So for me, at least, it was not a problem. And even though you can see now when alternating masses between churches, I mean, it's seamless for everybody now, even from the beginning.
Oh,
of course, you take time to get used to.
Yeah, there was teething troubles at first. Yeah.
And then after that, it just, whenever it's English, you sing it English. Whenever it's Arabic,
I see. So then, going away from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s to last year, quite a jump. But basically, so last year we had the pandemic. Everyone was affected by it one way or another. And with our luck, of course, the worst of the pandemic and the giant quarantine we had hit like 2 weeks before Holy Week. So what the church was kind of presented with was this big issue. We can't have, we have hundreds of people sometimes in church, especially like Palm Sunday and Easter especially, and Good Friday as well. We can't have that because, of COVID. So what ended up happening is that Abuna Bubbles, Abuna Theo, and you, and 3 other deacons, Andrew Maher, no relation, and George called us Sam Gerges, all went and actually did all the services for Holy Week, from Palm Sunday to Easter.
Correct.
And everything in between. And just to kind of show how severe, our restrictions was, Abuna Samuel, one of our older priests, we didn't even have to come in. He had to join virtually just because of how severe and how new the virus was. I mean, this is before the vaccine was even heard of. This is before masks were even strictly mandated yet. So that experience, I mean, what was that like, going to church in the busiest time of the year and finding nothing, finding seats, empty seats all over the place? What was that like?
Well, at that time it was mixed emotions.
Yeah.
Sadness because I don't have the opportunity to have people around and sharing in the service, because the Eucharist is the people uniting together. So it was very hard process. It was I was anxious because I was very worried that if anything goes wrong, I cannot make it. I feel sick, what have you. I mean, there's a lot of people that are actually I'm responsible to transfer the service to them in their homes. So this was a lot of pressure. But at the same time, personally, and as I heard from all the deacons that were with us, it was an intense spiritual experience. It was very, very fruitful for us on the personal level. And it showed us how important the church is for the congregation and for us. And it showed us that we take a lot of stuff for granted.
Yeah.
But once a simple thing like you cannot go to church, I mean, how it affected everybody in the community. So.
Yeah, I mean, because we were watching from home. And I remember, I mean, during Holy Week especially, we would try to attend the Busco stuff from home. We had our own little room set up with everything, and as many people did.
Corner.
Right, yeah. And with that, I mean, I have a bigger family, so we had a room, but, but, the idea, we even tried to get, Bukhor. We tried. It didn't turn out well, but we tried. And it was, as much as we tried to emulate the experience, I mean, we really couldn't. And it was very distracting. But what else I also wondered too, or something with my own experience, because after Holy Week, I should be clear, we were still pretty much on strict quarantine. So what they would do, they would have other deacons, 2 deacons come in for liturgies basically, and they'd have drive-through communion, which that was a really, actually very big thank you to, I believe, Megdi Opt. I think he's one of the big guys in charge of that. He really, knocked out the park with it. It was very, very efficient, very organized. So thank you, Megdi. But one of the things I was doing as praying liturgies on my own, which is Deacon Mark or Uncle Izza. Some people you might know him by either name. There is this level of like peace and serenity almost with it.
That's true.
You know, because one of the things I know, because you don't feel people, you know, but maybe that's my own thing, you know. But I was wondering too, like with that peace and serenity. I mean, you obviously did you feel the same thing, or was it like just comparing notes basically?
Well, yes, like I said, it was an intense spiritual experience, which like peace and serenity and appreciation for. I mean, at some point, I felt privileged to be chosen for this mission, but it was not the same. Of course, it was not the same as having people around, because, like I said, the meaning of Eucharist, the meaning of communion, is like we're uniting. We're one in Christ, in the church, and it's very important, integral part of the service. Yeah,
definitely, and it's also an interesting experience to see thousands of people. Well, not thousands, but you know, like hundreds of people. Sometimes will be watching the stream. That's another thing too, where we basically had a virtual congregation. And that experience too, I mean, that added to the experience where it's like there's no one here, but there are people here at the same time.
Well,
you know,
speaking about thousands, it happened because we they took a feed from our service into the Christian channels in Egypt, so people in Egypt were watching our church. Yes.
Wow.
So that happened. So thousands and thousands of people were watching our service.
Oh my God. Did you know before or after?
Before.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, because before. Yeah, they told us, because we had to stick with a time frame. You know, TV has time, the air time and stuff. So
Oh well, okay. You know, and I think I have pressure. You know, recording something now. Imagine live streaming. Oh my God. So, moving on, and first of all, I also want to take this time to really thank you and everybody involved with that service. I mean, seriously,
it was a blessing.
It was, but I don't want to say perfection, but like the precision of it, and it was really good. So thank you to everyone involved, including you and everybody else who might be watching at home.
All the high tech guys. George called us, and Jimmy and Sam. They did a wonderful job.
It really was. So I want to take this time, everybody, thank everybody that was involved with that. But moving on to my third and final question, which I just want to split screen on here. That's good. I record on this laptop and then I have my interview questions. So I wish I knew that earlier. But anyways, moving on to my next question. Looking forward, as more and more hymns are translated to Coptic. I mean, we are from Coptic to English, which we pretty much translated everything at this point, right? Do you ever wonder, like 50 years from now, especially here in the States, do you ever wonder that we'll lose the Coptic language, where it will become almost obsolete? Or do you think the opposite will happen, where we'll see a huge preservation of it to the point where we could do full Coptic liturgies, and which I want to say Will actually does. He did, I think, not a couple Fridays ago, but he's done it a couple times where he's done full Coptic liturgies. So do you think we'll ever get to that point in preservation of the language, or do you think the opposite will happen, where it'll just kind of be forgotten with time, especially at least here in the States? Now, elsewhere, obviously, it might be a different story, but here in the States in particular, what do you think is going to happen with that?
I think more and more preservation will happen, because nowadays, especially among younger generations, they're very, very interested and very enthusiastic about learning Coptic, learning foreign languages, original old languages like the Greek and Coptic, where the original hymns and the original sayings of the Father were written, and there is a massive translation movement from these old languages, and people now are trying to understand what they're singing in Coptic, and they take it as a pride that this is their original language. They have to preserve it. So I think it's going to be more and more into. It's not going to disappear. Maybe they're going to use some English, but it's going to stay, and people are going to study it more and more. That's what I think.
Right. So it'll be a stronger,
yes.
Stronger hold.
I might see some decline in the amount of Arabic and prayers and with the younger generations taking over. But the Coptic, I think, even the younger generations are very interested in singing in Coptic.
Okay. So 50 years from now, if you're watching this, better have that Coptic preserved. Best. But anyways, but that's all the time we have for today, though. Thank you, Dr. Alta, for coming on. Really do appreciate it. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much. Thank you for translating this stuff, because you've saved me multiple times in liturgies with those translations. Like, trust me, I have stories specified, so thank you so much. But Dr. Alta is not the only person we have to thank. First of all, I like to thank our music provider, Jazz Fruit Music. It's not Jippy this time, I know. But he's a small music producer that produces a lot of lo-fi beats. And if you guys aren't aware of it, basically this is very... not smooth beats, but very, chill beats. So if you ever need music for studying, sleeping, just chilling, background music, go give them a look. They have a huge playlist on Spotify. It's like almost 16 hours long. I believe the same playlist is on Apple Music and SoundCloud as well. Basically, wherever you get your music from, look up Jazz Fruit Music or just lo-fi hip-hop music, and they should be like the first playlist to come up. So thank you for providing that music. I'd also like to thank our production manager, George Caldas, for making this show possible. By providing us the equipment and even the room and stuff. We also know how to make this, believe it or not. I'd also like to thank St. Mark's Coptic Orthodox Church for allowing us to film on the premise. We do appreciate that, as well as, for allowing us to use the library, which is a very beautiful library. We can grab books like this, on the fly and stuff, so thank you for that. I would also like to thank my graphic designer, Peter Osme, who made the logos, or the logo for this show, as well as, other logos we made. We'll put some pictures up here, some of the other logos he's done for us. Really, really great work. We'll leave a link to his Facebook in the description below. If you ever need a graphic designer, please hit him up. He is based in Egypt, though. I believe Cairo, Egypt. So if you want to use his services, obviously, just bear in mind the time difference. Otherwise, though, phenomenal work, really good prices. So if you ever need a logo made, by all means, reach out to him. Also, speaking of social media, I'd like to thank our social media manager, Miriam Shahat. She's the one that's made all the social media posts that you see, whether on Instagram, Twitter, or wherever you get your social media. So thank you for doing that. If you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter and Instagram, and I believe Facebook's up now. I believe so. And you can just follow us at Shay with Amos, at wherever you get your social media from. And that's AMAOS. I know. Don't tell me about the spelling. Everyone's already told me. Somebody said with a 3, somebody what? It's an A with an asterisk, but we're going to use A this time. So feel free to go follow us. If you feel free to DM us with any ideas, whether it's guest recommendations, questions you want to ask our guests, by all means, feel free to send us some feedback over. We'd really appreciate it. Also, if you want to find this episode, we're going to be on the St. Mark's Coptic Orthodox Church official YouTube channel, as well as their official SoundCloud. Otherwise, that's it. Thank you, Dr. Alsif, again for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's the show. Thank you all for watching. God bless. Have a good night. Good night. That was great. That was a really good shoot. Real quick, before we go, I would like to thank James Gorgie, our cameraman, sound man, and editor. I completely forgot to thank him. I don't know why. I'm so sorry, James. So thank you. Now we can end the show. Thank you all for watching. God bless. Have a good night. Goodbye.